Have you ever heard the word scapegoat? No, not scapegoat. No, not escaped goats. A scapegoat is a person or a group of people who are blamed for the mistakes of others, often driven by fear. This is exactly what happened to LGBTQ plus people during the Cold War. No, not a Cold War. The Cold War, the period after World War II, when the United States and the Soviet Union were in a standoff, neither wanting to attack for fear they would get bombed in retaliation. Americans were afraid of Soviet spies and thought that minority communities, like the LGBTQ plus community, would be susceptible to blackmail from the Soviet Union. No, not blackmail. Blackmail is when someone demands that you do something or they'll share your secrets. In this case, give me these government files or I'll tell your boss you're gay, which at the time was illegal. The American government was afraid of people who didn't conform with gender norms, and laws were put in place to restrict their actions, like what they were allowed to wear and where they could work. The government labeled LGBTQ plus people as unsafe and dangerous to the community. This was all done because the government was scared, and not because they had any proof or evidence. In other words, the LGBTQ plus community became the scapegoats. At the time, LGBTQ plus people used gay bars as places to gather without having to hide their identity. These bars were often raided by police, but they were usually warned in advance. This was just normal life until June 28, 1969. Early that morning, the New York City police raided the Stonewall Inn, a gay bar in Greenwich Village, but at this time, they weren't warned. The raid sparked a riot among bar patrons and neighborhood residents. It led to 6 days of protests and violent clashes with law enforcement. The Stonewall Riots helped start the LGBTQ plus civil rights movement in the United States and around the world. Even though they were scapegoated and discriminated against, LGBTQ plus people stood up and spoke out for equal rights. When voices rise, scapegoating stops. Now that's scapegoated.